Cool. All right, that's the intro to one of my favorite Steely Dan tunes, Josie. Aside from the cool fifths movement that we have, I just really like these chords. You could think of this voicing as like a C over F, or maybe like an F2 with the 7 there on top, an open E string. The next chord, F sharp 7 sharp 9. And then the chord after that, it's like a G6-9 or like a D over G, I guess, if you wanted to voice it maybe like that. And then the fourth chord is an A flat major 7 sharp 11. This was sort of like my intro into like jazz chords, because you don't really hear those kinds of voicings in a lot of pop music. But Steely Dan was kind of known for bringing jazz harmony into a pop context. So right then and there, just from learning these shapes, I all of a sudden was like, oh wow, these are new sounds. Like instead of playing a regular garden variety A flat major 7, I realized you could voice it like this, the sharp 11, and all of a sudden it just feels like there's more color involved. Again, with like this shape or this shape, for example, they're really great movable voicings, because you could think of them, I mean, of course, all voicings are movable, but what I mean by that is like this shape here sounds like this over F, sounds like that over G, sounds like that over A. So they're like these little kind of shell chords that if you swap the bass notes around, you can just find new sounds just based off these simple voicings. This chord, the way I voice it, I use it all the time as like passing chords or whatever, or substitutes for minor 7 chords if you want. Kind of like that sort of scene. I think, yeah, just the first time I heard that, it was just a new sound, just something I hadn't heard. I mean, I think I first heard this song maybe when I was 16 or something, and just hadn't heard chords like that before, and so I immediately had to learn them. Now, you can voice these a million different ways. I like to play them down here and throw in the bass note just because, but you don't need to do that. You can kind of take it the way you like, because that's what's cool about jazz, I guess. So that was Josie, Steely Dan. Hopefully, if I did it right, that was Purple Rain by Prince. Here we are talking about another Prince tune, of course. Those voicings are just really pretty. And I think what's cool about it is that the chord progression itself, if you want to do the number system, it's 1, 6, 5, 4, which is a very standard pop progression. Almost sounds like it could be a country song or something like that. But Prince, and I believe, I think it was Wendy Melvoin that may have played the guitar part on this recording, just plays these really cool voicings. So instead of a B flat major, we add the 9. You know, I'm sure you've heard that in a million other 80s tunes, but it just feels really great in this tune. So again, we have B flat major, the added 9. Instead of a regular G minor, he plays a G minor 11. Again, more color. You can think of it as like the top half of a B flat suspended chord, but with the G in the bass. And then an F with an open G in there. You can hammer onto the 3rd if you'd like. And then another major add 9 chord, in this case just E flat. And this voicing is a little bit of a pain. I suppose you could do it like this. But for me, I voice it like this. So it is a bit of a stretch, to kind of go from here to get all the way up to the E flat. But I think that's how they do it in the recording. If it's wrong, you can let me know in the comments. Hey everybody, Mark Lettieri here. I actually didn't play those chords right. If you listen to the original recording, that's the first voicing. It's like a B flat sus with a D in the bottom. And then to play the G minor, just put a G in the bass. I guess in my many years of playing this song, that chord and that chord became alternatives that I started using, and I completely forgot how the original went. So sorry about that. If you'd like to play it like the recording, that's the way to do it. You can use any of these voicings, I guess. But now you know how to stay true to the original, which I should have done. So sorry for the mistake. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Again, I heard that tune when I was young, and at a time just hadn't heard those sounds before. I had heard these add 9 voicings. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I had heard the Police do some similar stuff. Of course, you know, we all know that. And so I had heard that, but that's in a minor context. This is in a major context. So again, it happened at a point in my musical listening progression where I was just getting exposed to new sounds. And I've always just loved the way that tune just comes together at the beginning. You know, it's just a guitar with a little bit of flanger, and then of course just blooms into this massive epic piece. That's one of the best songs ever written, hands down. No, you can't argue with that. That is a fact. So that was Prince's Purple Rain. Okay, those are some really pretty chords from a Stevie Wonder song called Livin' for the City, off of the first Stevie record I ever got, which is called Intervisions. Whole host of great songs on that album there. But again, I know I've been saying this a million times, you've been watching this series, but this was at a time in my life when I had never heard chords like this before. So they always stuck with me, and they've stuck with me since the beginning. So what do we got? An F sharp with an E in the bass. That's cool. I love that sound. It makes you think like, well, maybe we're almost there, but something's not quite there yet. We need more. That's what that chord does for me. Then we have an E flat half diminished chord. That would be another kind of way of voicing it, but I like the melody on top because that's kind of how Stevie does it. Then it's just a D major triad to a C major triad. Then we have another one of those slash chords, as you call it, C over A sharp, flat. Right? There's the melody. Good old A major. And now this maneuver here, to get from G to F sharp, is really cool. Almost like a whole tone sound, right? It's actually exactly what it is. Sort of the genius of Stevie Wonder, right? To an F sharp to top it off. And of course, in the verse, there's this. Those are great voicings too. Maybe we should just talk about them while we're doing it. It's like a F sharp minor, but you can kind of goose the major third in there, right? If you want. Same shape. This is sort of all over a static F sharp. So he plays G sharp minor shape there, then an A, good old major shape there. Chords like this are cool because it implies almost like a stacked harmony. So the low harmony is that, the middle harmony, right? And the high harmony, you know, however you want to voice that deal. But I like to think of these kind of cluster chords as almost like horn sections, right? You have your low, middle, and high parts. Right? And he's playing that on Rhodes, but I don't do that, so I play it on the guitar. So yeah, so that's like we started by playing, I guess you consider it like maybe the chorus or maybe the bridge. It's sort of just this like tag that they do throughout the tune. And then a little bit of these chords are from the verse or the kind of like the main groove. So if you are interested in hearing some new chords put in some, well, maybe new chords to you, they're chords that have been around forever probably, but maybe some those of you who are maybe interested in maybe some more jazz harmony or R&B harmony or something like that, Stevie Wonder is a great place to start. And a great place to stay for as long as you'd like. So yeah, that was Living for the City by Stevie Wonder. So that is a little bit of one of my favorite 90s R&B songs, Lay Your Head on My Pillow by Toni. And I heard this tune, I think I was maybe like a sophomore in college or something like that, and had never really explored R&B guitar so much, but it kind of immediately became a thing that I felt like I kind of connected to and really wanted to sort of study a little bit and check out. The progression in the tune is kind of indicative of that sort of style. What they do production-wise is really cool because they put a pedal steel guitar on there helping out with the melody, which I always thought was really interesting. But that tune was kind of like a bit of a gateway for me into that sound of kind of like R&B guitar. And now, you know, if you go on the internet, you can actually find these guys who were playing that stuff, you know, Raphael Sadiq and Jubu Smith and, you know, some younger guys like Jairus Mose and Eric Walls and these other fellas who were doing all this cool R&B stuff. And so I started to study a lot of that stuff just kind of based on this, you know, this sort of song, or, well, this song, I guess, not sort of song, but, you know, all the little, what they call embellishments, all these chords. All that real, you know, kind of pretty sort of stuff you hear. But the key is if you're going to be learning all that sort of language, just make sure when you play it, you are able to play it in time with a band, you know, because that's how it really is most applicable. But a great place to start learning that stuff is go check out some of those old Toni records, specifically Lay Your Head on My Pillow. Cool. So that was a little bit of kind of the way I play Herbie Hancock's Butterfly off of this record called Thrust. You could consider it a jazz standard. It's more on sort of like the jazz funk fusion side of things, but in Dallas, where I live, that song would be considered a jazz standard. We just play that song a lot back there. And so fun tune to learn. There's some really colorful chords in there, and it's Herbie, so his voicings are always really unique and probably not really what I'm doing. In fact, some of these voicings I actually got from a guitar player named Michael Thompson. I saw a version of him playing this, and he did this really nice move like that over this B-flat sus13 chord, which I thought was really neat. And it does outline the changes in the melody very nice. So thanks, Michael. I owe you one. But anyway, so the bulk of the head, or the first melody, is based over F minor, A minor, and D minor. And then the bridge is what really kind of I want to focus on. So we have this B-flat 13 sus. And then you could think of this as like a A-flat major 7 sharp 5 over B-flat, or maybe like, even if you want to extend it, you could maybe think of like an A-flat augmented chord. B-flat 13, B-flat 7. And if you want to play the melody, do that to an E-flat 13 sus, right? But again, this is one of those things where you could change the bass line around a little bit if you don't want to play. You could keep a B-flat in the bottom there if you'd like. Could even do that. You know, it might not work as well, but so E-flat 13 suspended, E-flat altered, or E-flat 7 sharp 9, sharp 5. You'd like to do that. Another one of those 13 sus chords. In this case, A-flat 13 sus. And then that's how I play that. I just go C to E-flat. And back to the top of the tune. That's a great song, Herbie Hancock's Butterfly. So those are some of my favorite chord progressions. And and a lot of them have what you could maybe consider jazz chords. I like that sound, even though I don't know if I'm really a jazz guitar player or not. But these are tunes that kind of helped me wrap my ear around different sounds, stuff that I hadn't heard really in rock and roll or in pop necessarily, even though you could maybe consider some of these guys pop artists. Yeah, Stevie Wonder, Prince, Toni, Steely Dan, Herbie Hancock. There's a lot of influence from those artists in my sound. So check them out. Try to learn the original recordings, and then make them your own.